Welcome to New Stripe City, a YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. What's going on? Wanted to do a live stream today. If we get more than 100 viewers, then I will tell one of the Bengals untold stories of 2015. So if you get this, be sure to share it. Be sure to let me know what's going on. But today I'm here to talk about all things Bengals. I'm here to answer all of your questions. I'm here to basically vibe out with Who Dey Nation. We can talk about the Saints. What's up? What's up, Lofi? But let's start things off with the obvious. What's going on, Quentin? Let's talk about the obvious. Dez Bryant. You guys have seen my videos. I've had numerous videos talking about the Bengals should definitely sign Dez Bryant. And not only does Dez Bryant sign, but he signs with none other than the Saints. So before I even get into that, let me get into some of your questions. Who Dey Gamer says, how we about to stop the Saints? That is a tough question. The Saints have a very good offense. Their defense is better than people give them credit for. I believe they had the number one run defense. They've got some guys over there that definitely can make plays, whether you're talking about Marcus Lattimore, whether you're talking about that defensive line. You talk about the offense, Alvin Kamara, one of the best dual threat backs in the NFL, can basically score on any play that he touches the ball. Definitely going to be a guy that gives us problems. Then you look at Michael Thomas, wide receiver, out of The Ohio State University. In my opinion, when he was coming out in that draft with Tyler Boyd, I thought he was a first rounder. Couldn't believe that he wasn't taken earlier than that. And when the Bengals, from what I heard, the Bengals actually had them on their chart for day two. But the Saints came up and made sure that they took him from us. Hey, what's up, Tristan? But I think, in going back to the question, how do you stop them? You have to slow down their offense. And this is a league now that's something that's hard to do for any team. But I think when you look at some of the games that they were close with, you look at the Ravens, you look at some of the games where teams were able to stop them. I think the first thing that you have to do is try to stop their run game. A lot of people talk about how high-powered their offense is, but within the last 2 years, they've really done a lot of running on the ground. So you have to stop Alvin Kamara. You have to limit Mark Ingram because they have one of the best running back tandems in the game. Second, you have to limit Michael Thomas, who's an amazing receiver, is having a great year. They have Dez now. I'm not sure what his role is, especially since he's just now coming into this offense. But you have to limit those guys, and then you have to get pressure onto Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. At the end of the day, they're going to put up points. So what you have to do is control the time of possession, something that the Bengals have been horrible at this year. Our offense hasn't had the ball enough. I think we actually have the worst time of the possession, if I'm not mistaken, in the league. But you have to keep the ball out of Drew Brees' hands, and you do that by sustaining offensive drives and running the ball. Another thing that can help them is the Saints are not the same team on the road as they are in the dome. So that's another thing. Will the inclement weather play a role? I don't think it will with Michael Thomas, but it could with guys like Alvin Kamara. You stop those guys, I think you stop this offense, and you have to show some consistency on offense. You have to put pressure on them, which is going to be hard because Marcus Lattimore was the defensive rookie of the year, and the Bengals are going into this with only Tyler Boyd. So the fact that they only have one receiver who has been double-teamed in the past, and I'm not sure if they're going to double-team him or not because Lattimore is that good of a corner, but we'll have to see. They have to do what they can on offense. I'll go to another question. I hope I answered that for you. Why hasn't Mark Walton been getting a little more reps? I think it's just because he hasn't been effective as a runner. He's had little splash plays here or there, Who Dey Page Gamer, but he just hasn't been consistent enough. He hasn't been Giovanni Bernard. How will we use John Ross? I expect us to use John Ross a bunch in this game. They have to. There's no reason not to use John Ross. With A.J. Green out of the game, Tyler Boyd most likely to draw the matchup from Marcus Lattimore. I think that you have to go with him. I think that's a no-brainer. going to need Walton to throw the ball on some trick plays to beat the Saints. I don't know. They're going to need a lot of stuff to beat the Saints. Cleve asks, who steps up as the number 2 option in the passing game? That's tough to say. I want to say that it would be John Ross, but John Ross hasn't shown me anything, but you would think that it would be John Ross, right? And I'm not a huge John Ross guy. I wasn't I wasn't a guy that actually hated the pick. I just didn't like the value that we got from there. But John Ross has to play better. But I would think that it would be John Ross because I can't trust Josh Malone. I can't trust Cody Core. I don't think that I can trust Auden Tate either. I don't trust them to put Auden Tate in a position to where he'll be a consistent guy. Quentin wants to know where's Vontaze. Vontaze is actually out with a hip injury. He's still recovering from that from what I've been seeing out there. I think he's on at least the rehab field, which is kind of the limited role. Brian Smith says that we need clock management and to stop their running game. Yes, Brian, but unfortunately, those are 2 things that the Bengals have been horrible at. Marvin Lewis is horrible at managing the clock, and our defense is horrible at stopping the run game. It's just been atrocious this year. I thought it was worse than years past. This might be the worst year we've had against guarding the run. What it do, my G? Who days? What's up? What's up, Aries? Will Mixon be able to run against that defense? I think so. So Mixon was able to run against the Tampa Bay defense, who was a top 10 rushing defense. They were actually 6, if you caught the infographic during the game, coming into the game. So we're going to have to run against them, especially if there's inclement weather, which I think that would be a blessing in disguise. If we were able to have somehow some inclement weather, Mixon would have to run. But I think that they'll have to do what they need to do to open the run up against Mixon. Now, one thing that scares me is if John Ross and Tyler Boyd aren't able to open this offense up, that will allow them to put more guys in the box. And they also have a linebacker that's pretty good. I think his name is Anzalone or something like that, but he was pretty good last year. Who is our starting tight end? Quentin wants to know. Our starting tight end is going to be CJ Uzoma, who's been pretty good. He's been pretty solid. So we'll see what happens. We need Dre. Or I'm not sure if you're talking about Dre Kirkpatrick, Lofi Boy, or who you're talking about. Hate to be a bummer, but if the defense doesn't pick it up big time with AJ out, we're in trouble. I think that that's true, but I think that the offense also has to pick it up as well. I've heard a lot of people going around, and I was on Zim Hude's podcast, or not podcast, but IG Live, and we were talking about the defense. And I think that he has a solid point with saying that this offense needs to help out the defense and take more pressure off of it by being more consistent. I definitely agree with that. But the defense has been atrocious. I mean, there's no hiding behind that. And I think, like he says, there's a lot of teams in the NFL, like a lot of good defenses are getting scored on. But I still think that the Bengals, I don't think that you can use that as a total excuse just because there's other teams that have also been pretty good on defense by this year's standards. And when I say that, I mean they're holding guys to 20 points instead of 30. 2 teams that I looked at, because some people go by total yardage, some people go by scoring. I tend to look at the scoring, and I just base it off of this. When you look at the Bengals defense on paper, you would assume that they would be just as good. And let me know if I'm wrong or not. Do you guys think that they would be just as talented as the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know yes or no. Because when you look up the numbers, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the top defenses in terms of scoring defense. And I don't think that they have more talent than we have. I don't think that they are a better defense than we have. I think the difference is coaching. And there's one thing to give up the yards, which I don't like to see the yards, but it's another thing to be so bad in scoring. And when you look at a team like Philadelphia and you look at a team like Baltimore, who's in the division, their defense plays good enough to keep those teams to 20. You talk about the New Orleans Saints. The Ravens played them. That game was in the 20s. I don't expect that with our defense. This team could put up 40 against our defense. And so when you see stuff like that, that's the only place where I hesitate to say, you know, some of these defenses aren't better than ours to me on paper. I think they're around the same caliber, but we need to be playing the same caliber as them. We're horrible against the run. We're horrible against the pass. We're horrible against yardage. We're horrible at everything. There's nothing good on defense that we're doing outside of turnovers. That's it. Let me catch up. Sorry, I kind of went on a little mini rant. What's the word on Nick Vigil? No word on Nick Vigil. He's still not practicing. I heard that he could be out. He could be out up to a month. How do you think our D line will play against their O line? The Saints have a very good offensive line. They took Ramczyk last year in the draft. I believe he's either the left or right tackle. He's a good guy. He was one of the top graded guys on PFF last year. He was actually a guy that some people had the Bengals taken in last year's draft over John Ross. They've got a good offensive line. You don't have that great of an offense if you don't have a good offensive line. They can run it. They can pass it. Their offensive line is good. It's going to be another big challenge for our defensive line who's down Carl Lawson. And that's the thing, too. A lot of people talk about just the defense. Look at some of the guys that he plays on defense. Terrell Austin was barely using Carl Lawson. And when I had a video talking about Carl Lawson, I was like, are we really going to miss him? Because he wasn't playing that much before. That's another thing. Personnel. Now, I'm not going to complain too much because we've had some guys in the previous years like Paul Gunter that haven't played guys enough, but he legit was not playing Carl Lawson like that this year. Let's see. When is Tyler Kroft supposed to be back? I'm not sure. I think that he should be. I think he's another person that's on the sideline as well. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, I think Tyler Kroft would be okay to come back. I don't think there's much of a difference, honestly, between him and Jordan Franks. He did have a pretty good season last year. But in my opinion, I've always felt like I liked CJ Uzomah more than him. But we do need some more depth and experience at tight end. But I like what I see in Jordan Franks. He had that 30-yard reception last game. I think they need to get him more involved. Lofi Boy says that he likes my vids. Appreciate it, bro. We should have gotten Dez. That was our only hope. Marvin needs to go. All right, I'm going to use that to segue back into the Dez Bryant thing. So this is my thing with Dez Bryant. You guys saw my videos. I definitely said that the Bengals should have hit up Dez a long time ago. I think even before the trade deadline and all of that, the Bengals still needed that third receiver. And if you guys listen to either James Rapine's podcast or if you listen to Tyler Boyd talk about how the Bengals need a third receiver, he was talking about that they needed a third receiver even before AJ went down. There was no consistency as a third receiver. It got to the point where when teams started doubling AJ Green and Tyler Boyd, we had nothing. Look at the Saints game. I mean, not the Saints game, but the Chiefs game. That was the difference. They double teamed both receivers. And when they did that, there was nobody open. Nobody could do anything. Clearly, we were missing John Ross for that game, but this has to be a game where he steps up. And I think the whole situation with Dez is I'm not buying this whole stuff that Dez Bryant can't play football anymore. That's why he's still out there. That is total BS. All right. Number one, let's start with the facts here. Dez Bryant was offered a contract by the Baltimore Ravens at the beginning of this offseason. The issue was they wanted to sign him to a 2-year deal. 2 years. Dez only wanted 1 year. Dez wanted 1 year so that he could basically do a 1-year prove-it deal, go out onto the market next year, and get and command a better salary, which I can't blame him for that. He had an offer. It's not like I hate that these guys talk about there's no offers out there for Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant had offers. Let's just get that straight. Number two, the Cowboys have suffered without Dez Bryant. I mean, they had to trade a first-round draft pick. So what they could have did was sign Dez Bryant back, but they don't want to eat crow. So what they had to do was give up a first-round draft pick for Amari Cooper. Okay. So then enters the Bengals, where they have the opportune time to sign this man, especially when John Ross got hurt. We saw what Cody Kors had to offer, Alex Erickson, Josh Malone. They have nothing to offer. Auden Tate is my guy, but they don't think that high of Auden Tate. I'm just being real. They don't think that high of him. They cut Auden Tate. So they do all of that. The trade deadline comes, and then it's like, okay, if you're not going to get Dez Bryant, you're going to make a trade, right? Especially with AJ. The news comes out that AJ is hurt. Okay, cool. So in my mind, I'm like, they have to know, especially coming after that Chiefs game, that if Tyler Boyd is your only receiver, John Ross is injured at the time, AJ Green is injured, you don't know when he's coming back, that they're going to make a move. They didn't make a move. And it was, to me, it was one of the stupidest things that they've done. And to me, just to be real, this is falling under the line where they take these gambles that don't work out. They took the gamble on the offensive line 2 years ago when they let Andrew Whitworth go. They let Kevin Zeitler go. They rolled the dice with Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher when they knew what they had. They knew what they had in Cedric Ogbuehi. They knew he was trash. They still rolled the dice to do that. They rolled the dice at the wide receiver position, 3 years ago. They went and got Tyler Boyd. They got Brandon LaFell. They knew that wasn't going to be the same as Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu. They rolled the dice then. They rolled the dice now. And we, of all people, know what happens when A.J. Green is not on the field. The offense dies. And for them to act like they were unaware or aloof to what was going on, why even put it and leave it up to the point where A.J. Green has to get hurt? This is a year where you've had a run on injuries. And the fact that you knew that A.J. Green's ankle hadn't reduced swelling and all of that, and that you put him in a boot. The first day that they reported that, there's no team that just puts a guy in a boot and it's just for precautionary reasons. I feel like they fed that to us because they knew the fan base would be furious if they did not make a move. So not only do you do that, you screw that up, right? You can't get Golden Tate. You can't get any of these other players. So you would assume the next day after the deadline, it comes out that AJ is going to need surgery and all of this. So the next thing you think is, okay, they're going to call Dez Bryant. They don't call Dez Bryant. They know that they're going to be without AJ Green for weeks. You know that John Ross hasn't proven anything. You know that Tyler Boyd can be double teamed. You know that Cody Core is trash. You know that Auden Tate, you don't think much of him because you cut him. To sit back and say that a guy the caliber of Dez Bryant, who's been a veteran, who just turned 30, isn't better than Auden Tate or Cody Core or Josh Malone is the biggest crock of bullshit I've ever heard in my life from this brass that we have. What is that? Dez Bryant isn't good enough to play for the Bengals? And I want to, if we get to 100 people on this live stream, be sure to share it. I want to share a story because the first thing that they talk about is the locker room. And if I get to 100 streamers on this live stream, I will tell you guys a story about the locker room that happened in 2015. And these people out here talking about that Dez Bryant would be an issue in the locker room, I'm just not buying that based on some certain things that have happened in the past for this organization. But to act like these guys don't need Dez Bryant and that he would be an issue. If you looked in during the offseason when Dez Bryant was first cut by the Dallas Cowboys, the first person, if you follow all of the Bengals, Drake Kirkpatrick had IG stories recruiting the man. There were guys in his comments recruiting him here. So to sit and act like Dez Bryant wouldn't be an addition to this team is just ridiculous. Now, we lose out on Dez. They decide, we're not going to go for Dez, which is stupid, but they decide to do that. And then the Saints pick him up. The Saints have absolutely no reason really to pick up Dez. They're 7-1. They've got a pretty solid receiver core already. Why not? They just were like, why not? Let's just add Dez. So the Bengals don't even work the guy out when they have a whole bye week to work. Like, you didn't even get a guy a workout, not even a workout. Like, I would have been cool if you brought him in, you worked him out, and then you just sent him on his way and said, hey, he's not a fit for here. We didn't like his personality, or you don't even do that. I just don't get it, man. It's just sometimes this team makes moves that just make no sense, where they kind of try to act like they are arrogant and just ahead of everybody, and they're really not. They react to everything. And if you want to become a better team, you have to be, like James Rapine said, proactive. You got to go after guys. And feeding us this crock BS of these guys aren't better than the ones we have here, bro, this is Dez Bryant. Like anybody who watches football or has watched football at any level, has watched him in college, has watched him play in the pros, knows that Dez Bryant is better than almost any receiver that we have on this team right now outside of Tyler Boyd. I'll even say that he's better than John Ross because John Ross hasn't proven anything yet. And you can't tell me that if you line up a guy like A.J. Green, Dez Bryant, and Tyler Boyd or John Ross, that the other opposing defense isn't going to take notice. If you can't tell me that there's a difference between lining Dez Bryant up and lining Cody Core up, nobody cares about Cody Core. No offense to Cody Core, but defenses are not game planning for him. They're not game planning for Josh Malone. You throw Dez Bryant on the field, players have respect for Dez Bryant. They know what he's capable of. So let me get off of that. I'm sorry. I just had to. That just really made me mad. I felt like it was really all about money. I don't think that there was anything else about Dez Bryant and the Dez Bryant move except it being about money. I honestly think that that's what it is. And I think that Mike Brown has done a good job lately of spending money, but I think that he gets to a point sometimes where we've done all of our offseason payments and stuff for players, and he's just like, okay, that's it. No, injuries happen. You got money back for Tyler Eifert. That could have went towards Dez Bryant. We'll get the figures on what his contract was, I'm sure, tomorrow. We need we need this win for respect and let everyone know that we're contenders. I agree. If the Bengals win, how far will they go up in the power rankings? They're currently 12th. I think if they win this one, they can get up to 9, maybe 8. I think the defense is a problem. Like you said, they can't stop the run. They definitely can't stop the run. I mean, how are you going to stop Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram? You have to be able to stop them. That contributes to allowing teams to still control the possession of the ball. You have to stop the run. Terrell Austin, when he first got here, he said that he was going to have to stop the run. He has not been able to prove that they should do that. I'm not saying that we should get rid of him, but I'm going to keep it real. This defense is trash. We have to score at least 41. That's the type of league it is now. It's a scoring league. It's a scoring league. I'm not saying that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we need to completely shut these guys down. The days of holding a team to 10, 17 points, that's out the window. But hold them to 20. Hold them to 24. A team that usually scores 40 or 35, hold them to 24. That's all you got to do. Bengals should have gotten Jonathan Hankins. I agree. Anyone know why Malik Jefferson hasn't been on the field? They're saying because Malik Jefferson looks super lost, even though the last game of the preseason he had a great game. I don't get it. How he plays, how he doesn't play, and Hardy Nickerson plays is just ridiculous. I'd have a migraine just thinking about that. Hold on, Cleve. You said I skipped your question? Let me see. Which guy coming back from injury is most important, Gio, Price, or Ross? It has to be Ross, man. Like, Ross has to step it up. If Ross can step it up, then I think that if he has the impact that he needs, we need him. He's the most important. A.J. Green is out, so by default, it's him. Predicted score. Man, that's tough. I'm going to have to come back to that. I think I might have to do that on a separate video. I got to think about it more. I got to see the injury report first. Let's see. Do you think our D-line can put pressure on Drew Brees? It depends, man. They've been kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I think that the defensive line knows that this is a big game, so I think that they'll come to play. No, Malik Jefferson is not active. I don't think. We won't know really until Saturday, so we'll see. I think he's actually been active some games, but only on special teams. Is Auden Tate starting? No. I mean, honestly, bro, it would not surprise me if we got to Sunday and they said that Auden Tate was inactive because they've done that before. When we had John Ross out, they kept him inactive. They kept other guys active over him. Who they from Utah? Thank you, Trevor. Quentin Mike Evans and Julio got 180 yards. And that's my thing, bro. Like, again, I'm not saying that we need our defense to be perfect, but guys are having career days on us. Like, Mike Evans had 180, Julio had 180, McCaffrey had 180. It's like everybody just has a career day against us. I don't even want to know what Connor did against us either. It's just ridiculous. Alvin Kamara could do the same thing. You think it could be the defensive coordinator system why they're so much worse this year? I think so. I think that has a role. It has to definitely play a role. But there's also other things like missed tackles, dropped interceptions. But I think the system too, because I think back to like the first game of the season where the Indianapolis Colts are in the red zone and you're telling not John Ross, but William Jackson III to line up 10 yards off of the corner. Come on. Anything on Hugh Jackson? Not from what I've heard. I heard he was around the building. I saw him this morning on First Take. I think that Jeff Hobson talked about him a little bit. He said he's not exactly sure if they're bringing Hugh in or not, but he thinks that we definitely will be talking to Hugh about the Browns before those games. What do you think about Hubbard? Hubbard's a stud. We need to put pressure on Drew Brees. I agree. We need to draft a linebacker. I've been saying that for years that we need to draft a linebacker. And some people are saying like, oh, you guys wanted Reuben Foster over John Ross. You're damn right we wanted Reuben Foster over John Ross. Look at Reuben Foster's numbers. He's a stud. What are you talking about? Reuben Foster was definitely worth the top 10 pick. He had character concerns, which knocked him down. But when you look back on this draft 5 years from now, I guarantee you Reuben Foster will be a Pro Bowl linebacker. I will guarantee it. Not too surprised the Bengals didn't. That seems to be their MO. It must be talking about Dez Bryant. With no AJ, Ross needs to make a statement. I still think he is the same as Austin was for the Rams. Tavon Austin, oh my God, I hope not. I hope not. We need to start it off with a bomb to Ross. We will probably do that. My hope is that we will do that, but I don't think low key, a lot of people don't realize Andy Dalton and John Ross don't have the best chemistry. So that chemistry will have to develop. And with him being out, obviously these last couple of weeks, I don't know how that affects that. I don't know if they practice with each other or what. Our quarterbacks need to play like first-round players because 3 of our corners were drafted in the first round. That's true. I heard Dez Bryant had a couple offers, but he has not wanted to really leave Dallas. Could see that. He also wanted, one of his requests was he wanted to actually play against Dallas, and you see that the Saints are playing against Dallas in Week 13, so that could have been one of his wishes. So next draft, what is the more important need? Wide receiver, linebacker, right tackle, right guard, quarterback, linebacker. Just keep drafting them. At least spend a first-round pick on them. This whole waiting until the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and free agent route is not working. I will be at the Bengals game. That's what's up, bro. We need to be on point with the defense, and our offense needs to stay consistent, and we need to put pressure on Brees. There it is. Do you think that the national media tends to ignore or talk bad about Cincinnati? Oh, yeah. They hate us. I think that they always talk bad about us. But I think we ourselves have to change the narrative. We have to play more consistent. We have to give them a reason to talk about us. I think they're not going to talk good about us until we actually come out and play better. I think Auden Tate will play in red zone opportunities. I hope so. I feel that Dez could do the way T.O. did Palmer. If he is not shining, he's not happy. Green and Boyd and Bernard are plenty, not enough to go around to keep Dez happy. I'm not going to agree with that because I don't think Dez is a guy that's just throw me the ball. I remember the one year where they got Ezekiel Elliott and they ran the ball most of the year. Dez never complained about that. Dez Bryant and T.O. are 2 different type of players. T.O. was strictly about numbers, especially with Dez being signed so late in the season. I don't know how he could really be really about his numbers or being happy, especially being on a team with so many weapons. I think Dez just wants to win. You're exactly right. Typical Mike Brown stuff. Another team that was 5-3 in the playoff hunt, number 1 receiver goes down, and they would be getting and finding a receiver. That's true. That's true. Look at Look at the Texans, bro. They went and got Demaryius Thomas. Will Fuller goes down. What do? They make a trade. What happens when John Ross gets injured and AJ Green is still injured? Who do you think will step up? I don't know. And that's the position that they put themselves in right now. I think if I had to just take a wild guess, Alex Erickson, which is bad. Alex Erickson is probably more consistent than Cody Core and Josh Malone at this point. Auden Tate, I don't even know if they'll play him. I mean, in that position, they'll be forced to play him. Yo, bro, finally caught you streaming. What are the odds that we learn to control the clock and run the ball all over the Saints? Our D-line is legit good enough to make a few stops if we get good play calling. Okay. Thanks for joining me, Benny. I appreciate you, bro. Learn how to control the clock. Marvin Lewis hasn't learned how to do that in 15 years or 16 years here. I'm not sure about controlling the clock, but I think that we could run all over them. We learned how to run last week against Tampa. I think we can get a few stops with our D-line if we do get good play calling. That's another bad thing, though. The Bengals don't really have good play calling, so we'll see. It's really up to the coaches, man. They're going against a head coach in Sean Payton who's very aggressive, so they're going to have to, balance him on that end as well. With AJ out, it's time for the other receivers to step up. Injuries have crushed us this year. Definitely, Don. I think the other receivers definitely have to stay up. Vince Armstrong says that he thinks that the Bengals will win 34-21. Just watch. We'll see, bro. I hope. We could bring in T.O. back in the day, but Dez, no thanks. Shake my head. Exactly. Dez is not T.O. Where are you guys getting this that Dez is T.O.? Dez Bryant is not T.O. Like, when has – outside of – so, with Dez Bryant, the only time he started to take shots at the Cowboys was when they kind of came at him and you would hear these stories talking about Dez and he would respond to them. But he never was going out saying anything crazy about his quarterback or anything like that. I think Dak Prescott actually took a shot at him before Dez would. They just don't want the circus that comes with Dez. I don't think there's a circus that comes with Dez Bryant. There really isn't. Like, you guys talk about Dez Bryant like he's Odell Beckham Jr. He's not the same kind of receiver. He's a guy that gets emotional on the sidelines and gets upset when guys lose, which, I mean, I think the Bengals need that. I think they need that. I mean, I think every team needs that. You don't want a guy that's there to lose. They learned from the mistake with T.O. T.O. was a totally different guy, man. T.O. talked about Mike Brown. T.O. talked about everybody. I mean, that was the last straw that got T.O. kicked out, was he talked about Mike Brown, and then they slid him to the IR on like some slick type of stuff. Saints lost again, though. Yeah, that's true. Does Mike Brown know we can get free agents? Who knows? People, it's all about Mike Brown. It has nothing to do with Dez. I promise you, Dez is extremely talented, a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. Mike Brown just doesn't give two shits. I agree, and he doesn't want to spend the money. Dez Bryant is overhyped. You're in love with the name. Dez Bryant is not overhyped, bro. It's Dez Bryant. Like, you have Cody Core. What is Cody Core doing? What is Josh Malone doing? If you do not believe that Dez Bryant is better than two guys who would probably get cut off of rosters anywhere else, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Dez Bryant last year is better than what we have right now. Dez Bryant had 800 yards last year in a down year, and he's still better than anybody we have right now. If he's healthy now, it's time for John Ross to step up as needed. No one can run with him. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with y'all questions, man. All right, I can't answer all of these. I tried to. Do you think our offense will be fine? I think so. Do you think our linebackers are weak? Yes, our linebackers are super weak. We should have taken Reuben Foster. I agree. That's facts. Let's try to catch up here. Tate is definitely better than you're talking about Auden Tate? Yes, maybe. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I kind of have a cold. Our linebackers are just bum cheeks, definitely. If we got to depend on Ross, it's over. I agree. You can't put all your eggs in the John Ross basket, bro. You definitely can't. Erickson is solid. Ross is healthy. Where's Josh Malone? Is he hurt? No, he's just trash. Let's see. Dalton isn't the problem. No, Dalton's definitely not the problem. 9-7 don't at me. That's also what I predicted this year. Should we hire Wade Phillips as head coach next year? No. We have terrible coaching. It's not the greatest. It's not bad, but it's just not good. I would have no problem signing Dez. I'm not a big fan of Dez, but he is what we need. Are we getting rid of Dre? Y'all know we're not getting rid of Dre. People bash Bryant too much. Romo gave him the ball. Prescott couldn't. I agree. What did the Cowboys do without Dez? Everybody talks about Dez is this, Dez is that. What did the Cowboys do without him? And you have to also remember he was hurt a lot, I think, the past 2 seasons. They haven't done anything with him. Their offense died without him. Let's see. We have to utilize Bernard and Mixon if we're going to stand a chance this year. Agreed. What happened to Brandon Tate? Brandon Tate, after like the 8th time, he had like 9 lives here. And they finally got rid of him, which was the best move ever. If we had Rex as our coach, I would be done. Yeah, I can't get down with Rex Ryan as the head coach, bro. What's up with Burfict? Burfict is hurt, bro. Burfict is hurt. He hasn't been in shape. It's been a late start to the year. Just not really cutting it for us. Let me see. I skipped over some questions, so let me see if I can go back. Did Dez join Cincy? No, he definitely joined the Saints. What's the weakest part of the team? If we're talking about position, linebacker. Other than that, the defense is probably one of the weakest. Like, it's not talent-wise, it's not the weakest, but overall, I think it's probably the weakest when I think about everything. Chances in the Saints game, I think it has to be, like I said earlier, they have a chance, but the weather and things like that are going to have to help them, and the offense is going to have to play consistently. When are the Bengals going to fire Bobby Hart? He's awful. If you think he's awful, let me hear about Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher. They are terrible. The thing about Dre is that he makes great plays, but when he messes up, it costs us games. I'm not sure that Dre really costs us games. The Steelers game comes to mind. I still don't think that was his fault. I think that was a bad call by the ref. And look at all of my past videos, bro. Like, if you go back a year or two, I am not a Dre supporter by any means, but Dre hasn't played bad this year. He really hasn't. I think he's been a lot more solid than he has in years past. When he's targeted, he makes the plays. I mean, I don't know what else you really want from him. He's never going to be somebody that's like a Richard Sherman in his prime or anything like that, but he's not bad. I mean, Darqueze Dennard has turned it around too, and I remember times when Darqueze Dennard, people called him trash as well. Defense coaching is trash. Drew Brees has only been sacked 9 times out of 8 games. Let that sink in. Yeah, I mean, they're a very good offensive line. Is Darqueze out Sunday? Yes. Is Alex Redmond out this week? And who's replacing him? I'm not sure who's replacing him. I would assume that it would be Trey Hopkins. We don't have the linebackers for a 3-4, let alone 4-3. Exactly, we don't. We don't have the 3-4 system. And switching to that is, I think, a disaster. Who are your top 5 candidates to replace Marvin Lewis? They're not going to replace him, bro, honestly. But if they could, in a fantasy world, I would replace him, and this is not realistic. I would go and get Jim Harbaugh, Hugh Jackson, maybe somebody like that. I don't know. Dre is slept on. People say he is old and washed, but he's 28. 28 ain't old. I agree. I think they need to get Atkins in the backfield. Yes. Steelers game was a bad call. Plain and simple, but he's not a shutdown corner. He's above average. Exactly, Benny. He's above average. He's not a shutdown corner, but he's above average. He had some games where he actually made some plays, bro. Like on 3rd down, he actually swatted passes away. Like guys that would have caught it and completed a 1st down, Dre has actually made some plays. How good is the Saints defense? They're pretty solid. They're good against the run, and they also have great a great corner. I think you have to attack Eli Apple. I think he's the weakness. But you don't want to throw at Lattimore. Lattimore is a dog. I think he's top 10 corner in the league, honestly. How do you feel about Cody Core? Trash. Let's see what else we got here. Is Billy Price going to start Sunday? I think so. If Hugh coaches, what position would he coach? I think there's some kind of stipulation where Hugh can actually be a coach to still get paid from the Browns. So whatever that stipulation is, I think they do it. We need Auden Tate. Will he get touchdowns? Yes. Do you think Cameron Jordan will get to Andy Dalton? Yes, Cameron Jordan is amazing. He's one of the top 100 players in the NFL. I think that he'll at least put some pressure on him. William Jackson gets beat, but nobody sees that at all. Exactly. And I'm a huge William Jackson WJ3 fan. I actually called us picking him for the draft. And he has at times looked worse than Dre this year, but you don't hear anybody say anything. I agree. Early draft needs, linebacker. Will we see Auden Tate Sunday? I hope so. I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. I came out with a whole video, bro, about Auden Tate was going to be active, and this was like 3 years ago. They cut him the next week. I don't know. Who that? Well, we got Saints fans in here? It's who they, bro. It's who they. What do you think about special teams right now? It's not too bad. Nothing that's really stuck out. I don't really recall us getting any big returns happening for us or against us. So it's just been average. I like Darren Simmons. He's a pretty good special teams coach. We need to use John Ross's speed. I think it goes two ways. So there's a group, there's two groups of our fan base that are starting to kind of annoy me. Not saying that you guys are annoying directly, but the John Ross crowd and the Andy Dalton crowd. I'm cool with Andy Dalton right now, but I think when those guys play a certain way, you guys try to do whatever you can to not hold them accountable. John Ross, I think, has the ability to be a great talent. He has not played to that ability yet. I'm not saying that he won't. I'm not saying that he's a bust. But I feel like people are like, oh, we need to use Ross. We need to use his speed. We need to come up with plays for him. We need to do this and that. Think about the first play that they used for John Ross. That was a play for John Ross. I'm talking about the play last year, his rookie year, where he took a reverse and he got hit and fumbled. It's not all on the coaching staff about why John Ross hasn't been successful. John Ross has also had his share of up and downs. I'm not saying he's a bust, but just call it like how you see it, man. Like, come on. He's got to improve. Like, to say that he shouldn't, I think is a mistake. And I think that we're just waiting for him to step out of his shell, but he's going to have to do it. He will get the props when he does it. Like, and that's my thing. People are always like, why did you want Reuben Foster instead and all of this? So this was what I said a few years ago when we had the Ross pick. I said that we should have taken Reuben Foster or possibly Ryan Ramczyk, and in later rounds gotten a guy like Dede Westbrook. There is absolutely no difference between John Ross and Dede Westbrook. Look up Dede Westbrook in college, bro. Look at what he did at Oklahoma. This man had the most. I think he actually set a record or something that year. It was like 10 of his touchdowns were like on passes of 50 or plus yards. And this was a guy you could have got in the third round. I just didn't like the pick from the standpoint of if you pick a top 10 pick, this has to be a guy that has low bust factor. John Ross had a riddled injury history coming out of college. It was never a question about his talent. It was his durability. Your best ability is your availability. And for me, I just felt like he wasn't available enough there. The 4.2 speed is nice, but what is 4.2 speed when it's sitting on the sidelines? And that's all I got to say about it. Ross is not a bust. He just needs to work on a few things. Agreed. I think that he just needs to get his confidence. I don't think that it's anything that's I think it's mental. I think it's a mental issue. I've been a fan since the early 70s. Watching this defense is painful. This is the worst defense I've ever seen in my life from the Bengals, bro. Honestly, like I'm just really thinking about it. Like 2005 when we got all those turnovers, I still don't even feel like this defense was that defense was this bad. Like I really don't. Like in the Marvin era, bro, this has to be one of the worst defenses we've ever seen. Like this guy's been watching since the 70s and he says that this defense is painful. Ross would be good for an example in Kansas City. I think Laser would scheme him in much more. He's no Tyreek Hill, but you can't take speed. I'm good with that. I'm good with the speed and everything, but with that comes the knowing the exact routes to run and being on the same page and having that confidence to go out and know that nobody can stick you. Tyreek Hill has that confidence. I'm not sure that John Ross has it. We'll see this weekend. This dude can do amazing things. He just has to believe in himself. I think, like I said, I think it's all mental. And you've seen a lot of top draft picks that failed in the NFL just because it was a mental thing. It wasn't their talent. Let's see. Love following you, Ace. Just bought tickets to the Denver game. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that, Jordan. For the Denver game, do you think Cincy will be 7-4 then? I mean, if that's within the next 3 games, I think so. Being real, the other receiver in Ross class hasn't made a splash either. That's true if you're talking about the first rounders. So Mike Williams hasn't done much. He still played a little bit more. Who else? Who else are we talking about? We're talking about the guy that went to the Titans. I wasn't really big on Corey Davis either, but Dede Westbrook has far outplayed Ross. Like if you look at Dede Westbrook's numbers, and he was a guy that was actually hurt last year too. He's been better than Ross. We should have got Michael Thomas, let's be honest. Everybody knew he was going to be awesome. That's true, but I'm not mad that we got Tyler Boyd either. Because you also have to account for the fact that he plays in the Saints system, so he's going to get a lot more numbers than Boyd. I think Boyd is where we need him to be right now. You heard that Malik Jefferson isn't ready for the league. He doesn't have the playbook down. I can see that. We'll see, man. They did the same thing with P.J. Dawson, so I don't know. I don't know if he's heading towards P.J. Dawson territory or what. Terrell Austin is blitzing way too much. Okay, that brings up a great point because people are like, oh, it's just the defense and all of that. What the hell was that play call where he sent the all-out blitz against Pittsburgh that cost us the game? What the hell was that? That was just stupid. What do you think will happen week 17 against the Steelers? Bro, I have no idea, but I feel like I said this at the beginning of the season. I felt like that game was going to be very important, and I still feel that way. What sickens me is that A.J. Green could be used so much better than he has. That's very true. They can't get off of the field on third down at all. At all. Not enough targets. Ross doesn't play hard all the time either. He doesn't. Get the O-line to open up in holes and run the ball. Then Ross may get open. The offensive line has been pretty decent so far, but their offensive line from the rushing standpoint hasn't been as good. I agree. You definitely have to open those lanes. But I don't know, man. I think I don't know how many of you guys heard the Tyler Boyd interview, but Tyler Boyd was kind of making it seem like, all right, bro, we need you to step up. Like, me and AJ are getting double teamed. What are you going to do? Definitely need to give Mixon some carries. Only thing that matters is football speed. Yeah, football speed is totally different than speed, bro. There's speed, there's track speed, and then there's football speed. Sorry, my nose is like running. All right. Watch when John Ross's contract is up. He does terrible. We won't re-sign him, and he'll go to another team and be amazing. That would be typical Bengal stuff. Let's just hope the bye week helped. Yep. Do you think Jesse Bates will get a pick or two? It's hard to say, bro. If I'm not mistaken, Drew Brees has thrown 1 interception on the season this year. So I'm not sure. I think he's our best secondary player right now at the moment, but I'm not sure if he has what it takes to pick off the legend known as Drew Brees. We could always use Joe Mixon to catch. I agree, man. Why isn't Joe Mixon lining up at wide receiver like Le'Veon Bell? Will we see more of that this year? Or this game? I hope so. Ben is a few pounds away from being a lineman. That's hilarious. Chabung, that's hilarious, bro. I missed the Dez rant. Yeah, bro. I had to give you guys the Dez rant, man. We about to get spanked by the Saints. Bruh. It's hard that I can't even deny that has a possibility to happen. Miss the days when we were power run like Corey Dillon and Cedric Benson. Agree, they gotta get back to that, man. D, you're looking for the Tyler Boyd interview. Check out Locked On Bengals, bro. I'm not sure if he grabbed it from somewhere, but James Rapine has it, and I think the title actually says Tyler Boyd in it. And when you listen to it, it sounds like Tyler Boyd is hinting at that it's time for John Ross to step up, and they've been waiting for him this season. He says that they've been waiting for a third receiver to step up this whole season. So check that out and let me know what you guys think. I should own the Bengals. We should all own the Bengals. I think the best for the Bengals to be in position is that than they are now is because no one's talking about the Bengals for that 6th seed. So I think we're good for the playoffs, but we got to focus on the Saints. Yeah, I think that we do need to focus on that spot. The thing that worries me, and I talked about it on one of my videos, is we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and although we almost beat them, I think it's a mental thing, bro. Like, I think like there's so much pressure that would be on them that week. The media would be talking about it. Marvin would be thinking about it. The entire team would be thinking about it. Okay, if we lose this game, we not only lose the playoffs, we lose against the Steelers again. That's just too much for me, bro. That's just not a good mix for us to have our first playoff win. I think 2015 comes up. I think we could beat them, but I don't know, bro. That's like a tough game to go into. Does Austin need to go? They're gonna let Austin finish the season. We'll see. I mean, maybe at the end of the season they make the change. We'll see. Kirkpatrick just isn't a good caliber corner. Okay, I addressed that earlier. Who can the Bengals beat in the AFC playoff picture right now? Oh my God, I have no idea, bro. Because Steelers, Texans, Patriot, I don't know. I really don't know who they could beat. The Chiefs. I think out of all of those teams, you probably rather face the Texans. They kept it pretty close with the Texans last year. But man, I think that they would have to. I just see Deshaun Jackson ripping us up, but maybe the Texans. Let's face it, Mike Brown sucks, and so does Terrell Austin. This boy Tyler Eifert, man can't stop getting hurt. He can't control that, bro. I wish he could, but he really can't. They did whatever they could to try to keep him healthy this year. I promise we would be better if we sit Ross and put Tate in. I'm telling you. I don't know about sitting Ross though. I'm not trying to see Cody Core or Josh Malone in there either. We definitely need Eifert, Mark. Texans got defense though. Yeah, Texans can't put up points though. Yeah, but I think we can score. I don't think our problem is being able to score. We can score against anybody, but it's stopping Deshaun Watson. It's stopping Hopkins. I mean, Demaryius Thomas now, Lamar Miller. I think we could stop Lamar Miller, but those other guys, I'm not sure. Our record against the Texans is bad, Benny. I agree. Like, them and the Steelers, we just can't beat them. I don't know what it is. Eifert, the trade deadline is over, my dude. We can't trade Eifert for Pat P. We have to beat We have yet to beat the Texans. We haven't. We couldn't even beat them when they had TJ Yates, bro. TJ Yates beat us. Like, there was another game that we had against them where Matt Schaub legit didn't even throw a touchdown, and they still beat us. Oh my God. This defense has to step up as a unit. They do. I'm one Steelers loss away from an aneurysm. Facts. I just get depressed when we lose to the Steelers. Like, I know if I feel that way, I can only imagine what the team feels like. Steelers have to play the Pats, Saints, Panthers, Jags, Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. Minimum of 4 wins. I mean, I think that Panthers game, I'm hoping that Cam and those guys can give them that L. Feel bad for my guy Carl Lawson, true. All right, man. I appreciate y'all rocking out with me. Since we're at 70, I know I said if we got to 100, people alive that I would tell you guys, but I'm going to tell you guys a story about what I heard in 2015. I'm not going to use any player names, but I have people that are connected. So one thing that I want to share is after the 2015 game, two players that are no longer on the team right now almost got into a fight. So when I hear things like "don't bring Dez Bryant into the locker room," he's this and that. They have two players that were on the team in 2015. They were two very good players. They almost got into a fight in the locker room. One thing I would say is know that it was not Reggie Nelson. Was a player on defense and it was a player on offense. And both of those two players are no longer with the team. This never got out to the media. This was from one of the actual players in the locker room that told me about this. Man. Whitworth, not Ray Maluga, not Jeremy Hill. You guys might be onto something. But no, I can't put it out there, man. It definitely wasn't AJ. AJ was pissed after the game from what I heard, but it wasn't AJ. Oh, one funny thing that I probably can say is that AJ McCarron had came into the locker room, they said, and was like, "Come on, guys, let's all get alone," or something like that. And then they were like, "Dude, you're just a rookie. Like, shut up." Ooh, I can't say, man. I can't say. I can't say. But you guys are definitely warm right now. That's all I'll say. You guys are very warm. I'm looking at the names right now, and they are in there. But yeah, man. So there's some surprises that certain players left, and then there's some that aren't. So that's all I'll say. Oh man, I can't say who it was that gave me the information either. But yeah. So when you talk about Dez Bryant and you talk about he's a locker room problem and all of that, there's stuff that's happened in the locker rooms in the past. I mean, you even take it back to the 2005 playoff game, and they said that there was, some fights that happened back then. So this is the Cincinnati Bengals, man. This is the Cincinnati Bengals. Pick one player other than one you like. Is that what you're saying? John Ross or Gio playing this Sunday? I think John Ross will play. I heard that they're not sure about Gio. Oh, Jared, you might be on to something, man. it wasn't Mo Sanu. That's the last thing that I'm gonna say. It wasn't Mo Sanu. Does Vontaze hate me? Vontaze does hate me, bro. Vontaze does. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that he hates me, but it was definitely a mistake that I made where I leaked the photo of Vontaze Burfict when he got his haircut, and it was not my place to leak it. I wasn't aware that he didn't want it leaked, so I had dropped it. And the next thing I know, like I was at work, bro, when I actually tweeted the photo a day before, and then I think Paul Dehner Jr. of the Enquirer was trying to get a picture of it, and I thought that I didn't know Tez didn't want people to see his hair because I'm like, you get a haircut, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I know that I couldn't have known that, Benny, but my wife talked to me about it, and she was like, that's that man's personal life. He didn't want that out there. He probably wanted to show the world himself. And that's where I kind of felt bad. Like, damn, I'm out here turning into media takeout, sending pictures of people and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, man. I understand that because, like, I try to be sometimes a private person myself, so I can understand why he wouldn't want that out there. But Burfict, yeah, he got mad, man. He jumped in the DMs, and I was like, damn, now I can't have Burfict on New Stripe City. Y'all see he in the logo, man. That's one of my favorite players. Oh, I'll tell y'all another story, bro. And this one really hurt me. I want to say this was around 2008. I was so I'm originally from Ohio. I moved down to Florida for college. I went to FAMU, Florida A&M, in Tallahassee. And in 2008, I think it was like Earl Holmes. It was like a linebacker from the Lions. He played at FSU. Anyway, long story short, he had a celebrity classic weekend. And during this weekend, he actually invited none other than Chad Johnson. So at the time, I'm working at the mall, like at Champs. I'm getting shoes out and everything. And everybody knows I'm a Bengals fan. They're like, bro, somebody comes in, Chad Johnson is here, Ocho Cinco. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So immediately, like, I go on break. I'm with one of my friends from Cincinnati. She's a female. I see Chad. Even though I see Chad, I'm not even on any groupie stuff. I'm not stalking him or anything. So, she wanted to get his autographs. So we walk up to Chad. And I don't know if this was when Chad was like mad because we didn't trade him to the Redskins that year. This was like Chad after he was like, if I'm cancer, we need chemo, Chad. So we walk up to him. I'm like, bro, I'm from Cincinnati. And for somebody to be from Cincinnati, be living in Tallahassee, and to see Chad Johnson, that's not something that typically happens, bro. Chad completely blew me off, bro. Like the Chad that we see that's like a funny dude, like always goof. This dude was not, he didn't say nothing to me. He was cool with the lady friend. He was like, okay, I'll give her an autograph and all of that. Dude said nothing to me. I was kind of salty, bro, because Chad was like my favorite player. So, like, for me to see you in Florida and you just basically kind of shit on me, it's like, damn, bro, like you Ocho Cinco, like, come on, bro, like, and it wasn't like I'm never the type to like see famous dudes out and be like, oh, bro, I need to have your autograph. I didn't even ask him for his autograph. I was just like, what's up, bro? I'm from the Natty, one of your biggest fans. It was just nothing. I know it's surprising. I was like, damn, bro, like, bro, you're Ocho. Oh, that's what's up, man. He was probably having. That's what I kind of chalked it up to. I was like, this man just wanted to get traded from the Natty. He's probably out in Florida. He's probably not thinking about it. Mike Brown and probably pissed him off or something. But hey, it is what it is. I don't hold it against him. Hopefully one day, I still got his autograph. Well, I didn't get it from him, but I went and bought one and auctioned it off here. So we'll see. Yeah, I would have loved to see Chad and AJ play together for sure. For sure. But I don't have anything else, man. I appreciate you guys for rocking out with me. I get information here from time to time. So I'll let you guys be abreast of some of the stuff. But to be honest with you, like a lot of the stuff I don't like to put out there because I feel like the media already gives us a bad name. Just imagine if they would have known in 2015 there was a fight in the locker room or something like that. It would be blasted all over the place. So I respect their privacy. I don't want anybody like talking bad about us. But there's other things that I knew too. Like I also knew about the whole way that the Steelers game played out. I knew that months in advance, bro. Like the sit down that Burfict had with Josina Anderson, where he talked about the Steelers with Joey Porter and all of that. I knew about all of that like way before it happened. I legit told people, and then like it came out and it was like verbatim, word for word, what I was saying happened. So that's the only thing. That's the only reason I don't share everything. And then after the Burfict thing happened and I got in trouble, I was just like, damn, I really can't be out here just spilling the beans. But if there is stuff that I do hear, I will relay it to you. One thing that I will say is I have a source close to AJ Green. AJ Green has always supported Andy Dalton, like no matter what. Like Zim had said that, and that's very true. Like anytime that I've talked to people about what they say about AJ Green talking to Andy Dalton, it's nothing but great things to say. Also, I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah. Also, what was I gonna say? John Ross was a pick that AJ Green wanted. From what I remember, AJ Green he didn't really want Corey Davis like that. I think they asked him about John Ross and he signed off on the John Ross pick. Yeah, AJ is a good dude, man. AJ is just a good dude. Like I really honestly, AJ is like my favorite player, bro. Like he's like my favorite Bengal of all time. Not because I'm like a new Bengals fan. I've been following the Bengals. Like I was actually at the game when Corey Dillon broke the rushing record, bro. 278 yards. The first win in Paul Brown Stadium. I was there. I remember the Gus Farats. I remember Achilles Smith. I remember all of that. Do not leave. There's nothing better on YouTube. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, bro. AJ is like LeBron James who chooses. Yeah, AJ is that dude. Who do you like that is not on the Bengals? Lofi, are we just talking about like just NFL players? Like, are we talking about historic players? Are we talking about like current players who I would rock with, or what are you saying? Joe Mixon is definitely dope. Dez is on the Saints, bro. Current players, let me see. Who would I rock with that's a current player outside of the Bengals? Um, Deshaun Jackson, bro. Like Deshaun isn't in his prime anymore, but Deshaun Jackson, bro, when he was like on the Eagles and all of that, like Deshaun Jackson is one of my favorite players to watch. Um, but he's kind of old, so let me think of some newer players. Todd Gurley is one that I like to watch. I like to watch Kamara. I watch a lot from a fantasy perspective. I like OBJ. I think he's a pretty good player, even though he's a super diva. Um, I also like. Let me think about this. Quarterbacks. If we're talking about quarterbacks, my favorite quarterback, believe it or not, I feel like this is like a cardinal sin. My favorite quarterback was Steve Young. And I don't know why I like Steve Young that much, but like 90s, bro, Steve Young was that dude. If we're talking about running backs in history, Barry Sanders. If we're talking about wide receivers, is hard for me because I was a T.O. fan and a Moss fan. And a Moss fan. Man, let me think about who else. Who else is out there that I would like? Quarterbacks. I like Tom Brady, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I like Tom Brady. Like I respect Tom Brady and what he's done just because you look at this dude and he's 41. Like I can't remember a quarterback playing at this level at that age. Of course, you like Aaron Rodgers, but I agree with you, Chabung. Brady is better than Aaron Rodgers, bro. Like it's 5 rings, he's clutch. This dude won with like David Patton at receiver. Kevin Falk was a scrub, and that was his running back. Like, come on, man. AJ Green is definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Um, let's see other quarterbacks. I like Deshaun Watson. I like Lamar Jackson. We still have to see what he's gonna be. But I knew Deshaun Watson was gonna be bad. Well, I mean not bad, but I knew he was gonna be good, bro. I kept saying that like a year ago. Like you're really going to pick Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Jackson? You crazy as hell. Uh, AJ, I'm going AJ over Odell. Odell is a beast though. Like that's why people put up with his crazy antics because dude is a beast. Odell is a beast. Andrew Luck is cool. I'm not a huge Andrew Luck guy. He's all right though. But if I like Phillip Rivers too, bro. Phillip Rivers doesn't get enough credit. Like Phillip Rivers has played with so many trash teams, and he's amazing. Cam is a beast too. Uh, let me see. Tight ends. Travis Kelsey is a beast. I like him too. He's cool. Man, it's a lot of players, bro. I watch a lot of football. I watch more teams than just the Bengals, but when the Bengals are on, that's like all I'm watching, bro. Like I'm definitely locked into the Bengals, but I also watch some of the other things. Drew Brees is cool. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like that. I'm a huge Drew Brees fan though. Like I respect Drew Brees. Like Drew Brees doesn't get enough credit. I feel like Drew Brees is underrated because this man throws for 5,000 yards every other year and he never gets credit. I like Philip, but the Chargers are way overrated. I thought so too, but you got to look at their record. They are 7-2, so What was my favorite Super Bowl? I might say that my favorite Super Bowl was the Eagles and Patriots Super Bowl, but I was still mad because the Patriots beat them. But like when T.O. balled out with the 200 yards, that was crazy. The only Bengals fan in San Antonio, that sucks, bro. I'm in Florida, so I actually like it's like whenever you live out of town and you run into a Bengals fan, it's like, bro, yeah, we connect. There's actually a lot of Bengals fans in Florida, believe it or not. Yes, yes, yes. Facts, facts. Alvin Kamara is a beast though. Alvin Kamara is a beast though. But all right, guys, I appreciate y'all for rocking out with me. My IG is New Stripe City Madden King. From Pittsburgh. My friends love the Steelers. Well, I feel bad for them. Steelers fans are everywhere, bro. Like I literally, this place that I work at, there's a person that has a Steelers thing on the back of their car, and I just really want to do something to it, but I would feel bad, but I really want to like either put squealers on it or something like that. But I don't want to actually damage their car. But I have bad thoughts when I see that. Bengals fan in Miami, that's what's up, bro. Yes, I have a Twitter. It's at New Stripe City. Steelers are definitely bandwagons, bro. There's a lot of people that aren't even from Pittsburgh that are Steelers. Instagram is New Stripe City. Squealers are definitely the worst, bro. But all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking out with me. I'm still gonna probably try to drop some stuff maybe tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go through and put up some videos. But I gotta get out of here. Definitely feeling kind of sick, but who day? I'm gonna keep on pushing stuff. But you guys take it easy. And as usual, I will leave you with a who day all day, every day, especially on Sunday. Who day?